Hi, this is A.J.B from A.J.B Counseling and Psychotherapy, a private practice located in Manhattan. In this video, I'm going to show you how to slow down your mind, how to calm down your mind using a specific meditation technique. This meditation technique is flexible. It's a technique that you can adjust to match the level of your anxiety, the level of your mental arousal, so that you can always make it effective for you given how you're feeling in the moment. Now, this video is a follow-up to my previous video on how to fix your insomnia. But if you're here because you're just looking for a way to calm your mind, stick around and check out this video. I guess, ignore the parts where I talk about insomnia. Now, I want to encourage you guys to try out different meditation techniques, not just the one that I'm about to talk about. Because who knows, maybe the one I'm peddling is not the one for you, and there is one out there that will suit you better. The one that I'm going to describe to you, I guess the class of this meditation style is called Single-Pointed meditation. The nice thing about this is that it can also be adjusted. You can customize it to your needs. Single-pointed meditation refers to the fact that you are maintaining your focus on a single point, on a single thing. So in our case, we're going to be focusing on our breath. In other cases, you can morph this meditation to focus on like an image. Maybe you want to keep a mental image in your mind's eye. Maybe you just want to look at an outside object. Those are other versions of single-pointed meditation, where, for example, you could literally look at a doorknob, and that would be your single-pointed meditation. Now, let me give you a short little lesson on some meditation terminology. In single-pointed meditation, we have this idea of coarseness and fineness, or how coarse or fine a meditation is. That really just refers to how complex or simple a meditation activity is. So I really do prefer to use the terms complex meditation or simple meditation because it's just more self-explanatory. A meditation that's more complex, or I guess in the old school terminology or the other terminology that I'm familiar with, the more coarse a meditation is, the more it requires of your focus and attention. The more it requires of you to maintain a sense of memory. You have to remember to do things. These are more complex meditations. Now, because complex meditations require more of your attention, focus, and memory, they are better at pulling your attention away from the anxious or excitable or frustrated thoughts that you might be having as you're trying to sleep, as you're trying to lay down in bed and relax. A nice metaphor for this is kind of like a computer. So a computer has RAM, right? And any program you run on the computer needs to take up a certain amount of room in the RAM. When you're anxious or you're having all kinds of thoughts that are keeping you up, they're occupying a certain amount of RAM. When you start running your complex meditation program, right? When you start meditating in a complex way, you end up hijacking the RAM that's being used by your anxious activity, by your anxious tendencies, or by your whatever is keeping you up at night. You're taking the RAM away from it in order to put it towards that meditation practice. This is a nice thing about complex meditations, in that they help you interrupt those cycles that are keeping you up at night or that are keeping you stressed out. Now, if you've ever done meditation in the past and it hasn't worked for you, what I really want you to take away from what I just said is that if your meditation hasn't worked for you, it hasn't helped you calm down, perhaps it's because you haven't made it complex enough. All right, so what does increasing complexity look like? So the meditation that I'm going to talk about is the one where you're counting breaths. So if all you're doing is counting your breaths in your mind, meaning every time you exhale, you say in your mind just 1, 2, 3, right? If that's all you're doing, then I would call that a simple meditation. If you're noticing that just doing this alone is not enough, and you're noticing that all your anxious thoughts or all your excitable thoughts or whatever thoughts you're having that are keeping you very aroused, if you're noticing that those thoughts are constantly taking your attention away from the meditation, they're constantly popping in your mind, then you might want to increase your complexity. And one way to do that could be perhaps to start visualizing numbers. So as you count your breaths, you might start visualizing each number. If that's not enough, you might start visualizing the color to each number. If that's not enough, you can start adding texture. So you might want to visualize, for example, a brick wall texture to each number. Right? So the number could be now colored, it has a color to it, and the color has a texture. It has like a brick wall that's maybe blue, or a brick wall that's red. If that's not enough, maybe you want to start making the number rotate as it's flying towards you. That could be one way of increasing complexity. Another way you could, as the number is coming towards you and it's spinning, it also might be leaving a trail, sort of like the way your mouse cursor on your computer would leave a trail if your computer's freezing. Another way of increasing complexity is adding math formulas to this. So instead of counting 1, 2, 3, you might want to count your breaths by jumping by a certain amount of numbers. So you might want to jump by 7. So you might go 7, 14, 21. You could also count backwards. Instead of counting forwards, 1, 2, 3, maybe you want to start counting down from 1,000. 999, 998. That tends to be a little bit more difficult than counting upwards. Maybe you could increase the complexity by following a Fibonacci sequence. Maybe, I think Fibonacci sequence is when you take the previous number, add it to your current number, and you arrive at a new number. And then you keep repeating this pattern. You take the previous number, add it to your current number, and that's your new number. That's pretty complex to me. You get the point. The point is that you can always increase the difficulty, the complexity of your meditation practice so that it can match the level of arousal and anxiety that you're feeling in the moment. All right, so that's what increasing complexity looks like. Let's also mention simple meditations. So simple meditations have their place. Now, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but if I understand this correctly, the original purpose for the meditation, the single-pointed meditation, and especially the simpler versions, is to help you build your ability to stay focused. The other thing about these simple meditations is that they're less arousing than these complex ones. See, these complex ones, because they require so much of you, they require a lot of energy out of you, and so that also means that they are more arousing. So here's a pro tip. My pro tip for you is to decrease the complexity of your meditation as you find that it has successfully hijacked your arousing thoughts. Now, just because your complex meditation is arousing, I'm still willing to bet that it's going to be a lot less arousing than the thoughts that you typically have that keep you up at night. However, because our goal is to really drop your arousal level as low as possible, what I want you to do is, once you find that sweet spot where the sweet spot between simple meditation and complex meditation, where it does its job, where it interrupts all those thoughts that typically pop up in your mind when you're trying to sleep, whether they be exciting or anxious or frustrated thoughts. Once you find that form of meditation that helps you, what I want you to do is then to drop down a level in your meditation practice. I want you to drop down in complexity. I want you to simplify your meditation practice because, again, simpler meditations are not as arousing. We just want to drop down your arousal level. So as you do this, you will find yourself relaxing. You will find yourself calming down. You might find yourself just passing out during the meditation practice, or you might just find yourself really relaxed, just laying in your bed doing the meditation. In which case, what I want you to do is to refer back to my first video where I talked about the paradoxical intent. I want you to go into a paradoxical intent mode. This is where I want you to start focusing on how nice it feels to just be relaxed, calm, and not really thinking about much, just enjoying the relaxation, the warmth of being in bed, the comfort of laying in bed. As you do this, you're going to eventually fall asleep. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not going to happen overnight. This is going to take some practice. One thing you're going to have to figure out, for example, is what kind of complexity of meditation do I have to use during what kind of levels of stress. So one day you might be more stressed out, you might need to jack up the complexity level of your meditation. Another day you might not be so stressed out, so you might use a lower complexity level of your meditation. This is going to be, an exploration period, and you're going to have to figure that out. But as you figure that out, you're going to become a master of calming yourself down, no matter how anxious or excited you might be in that moment. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Please leave your comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.